Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I love to talk about all things nail polish. Today's video is all about nail polish destashing 101. As in, you've brought a bunch of nail polish into your life and you try it out. Some of them you just are like, it's not for me. So now what do I do with it? And yeah, this is something that I found myself about a year ago needing to do. And I cobbled together pieces here and there to try to figure it out. But I couldn't really find a single comprehensive guide anywhere. So that is what I'm creating today. This is probably going to be a video on the longer side just because of how much I've planned out to discuss in this. But as always, I've included timestamps so that you can jump around. If there's like a certain part that you just want to focus on, feel free to click over there. Or if you are really needing to go through the entire process, feel free to grab a nice cozy drink and get settled in, and let's go ahead and begin. Okay, so first thing I would say is that if you see me looking down quite a bit throughout the video, it's because I've got my iPad here with all the notes that I've written out for this. The way I planned out this video was that I started by, I have a Google Doc where I keep a running like brain dump of all of the the video ideas that I have. And I think for this one, I spent about a week just going back and forth to this document whenever some ideas would pop into my head of like, oh yeah, and I should put that in there too. And oh yeah, that too. And I literally, as I was sitting down to get my camera and everything set up, I had yet another idea, another point that I wanted to bring up that wasn't yet on here. I'm like, yep, let me make sure to put that in there too. So do know that I've tried to be as thorough as possible when trying to think about everything that I do to go through my process for this. As I'm getting started, and also so that I can get this off my lap, I want to show you all what part of my current destash pile looks like. So here we go. It's a lot. I think there's like, I haven't counted them up, maybe like 25 to 30 in here. And so the way that my system goes is that as I bring in new polishes, I have this little bin that I keep next to my nail desk. And if there's a polish that I try out and I'm just like, it's not really for me, I will just put it in the destash pile. And I would say at times where I've constantly been in the right mindset to do a destash and I'm able to kind of do them more frequently, I will typically wait until I have like at least 10 bottles in here to say, all right, ready to do a new destash. But that has not been the case for me lately. So it has piled up quite a bit. And this is in addition to the other one of these I have downstairs, which is the ones that I have already listed in prior destashes, but haven't yet been sold. So I think that's like maybe 20 down there. So yeah, I think part of why I'm choosing to do this video now is that it's just time for me to do this. So let me set this to the ground. Okay, so first step that I've put on here is ask yourself if you currently have the time and energy to do a destash. And I put on there, and be honest, in all caps, because I think that what I've seen before in some of the online destash communities that I'm part of is that you'll have people who will start with a lot of great energy. They will make the post, they will respond to people who are wanting to buy from them, and then you will hear that it's been like a week and people who've bought polishes from them haven't heard any updates and they're wondering what's going on. And I think that it is, I say this first because I think it's probably the number one most important thing. It is okay if you are like me and you've got a ton of polishes that you know you need to destash, but you just are not in that right headspace at the moment. I personally would much rather let that pile build up and wait until I am in the place where I'm able to stay on top of responding to people, stay on top of packing things up in a timely manner, stay on top of going to the post office to drop things off. I'd much rather wait to do that than I would to say, yeah, sure, I'll go and do this and take people's money, but not follow through. And yeah, so just want to put that out there first. In short, I would say treat potential buyers in the way that you would want to be treated if it were flipped around. Like, be the seller that you, as a buyer, would want to buy from. I think I got that all right. Next, so this is the piece that I actually decided to slip in here right before I sat down to film this. And I haven't yet decided the short way I'm going to abbreviate this in the overlay and editing, but basically it's once you have decided that it's time for a destash, you also want to make sure that you have started to actively participate in any of the online communities where you are considering doing a destash. Because although it could be possible for you to, let's say, sign up for a brand new Reddit account and then make a post, or assuming that you meet the subreddit's posting criteria and everything, or you have a Reddit or Facebook account that has been not alive, what am I trying to say, that's been existing for a while, but you just haven't done anything with it, and then you decide you want to jump into some groups and start selling. I think that you would probably have much better success with it and to be able to gain the trust of potential buyers if they see that your account has some activity of being positively active in other nail groups. So let's say, for example, if you're trying to post on Reddit in the Reddit Lacarista swap group, perhaps if you haven't yet already been active there, you might want to spend some time being active in other nail adjacent subreddits like Reddit Lacaristas or We Got Polish at Home. It helps to demonstrate that you are someone who has a positive track record in other ways. And if you're on Facebook and let's say you want to list some polishes in the Nearly No Rules nail group, let's say you're listing some from, I'm just going to give one example of one of my favorite brands, Crack Polish, where the Crack Polish Facebook group, you're not able to sell polishes there. But I know across my various groups, I tend to kind of remember which names pop up most frequently as like people who are actively participating, and even across one group to the next. So like maybe people see you posting in the Crack Polish group just about like polishes, and then when it comes time for you to post in the resell group, you're like, oh, people will recognize you. So I think it's just really a good idea to establish a track record first. That was actually part of why I created my nail polish Reddit name about a year ago, because I knew that I wanted to sell some nail polishes eventually, but I needed to build up a track record. That was why I got into it. But then I realized, oh, I actually like talking with other people about nail polish and helping other people. So yeah, you might find a fun benefit from it there as well. Next, create a list of your inventory and prices. And this is probably, for me, one of the steps of the process that, like, when I say I have to be in the right mood to do this, y'all, that is the part where I really have to want to sit down and do that. Because the way that I structure my spreadsheet of my nail polish inventory that I'm putting up for destashing is that I have a list that has something like the brand name, the polish name. I also, because of the way that I go about looking for the pricing that I do when I destash polishes, I always check to see if that polish is still available to buy directly from the maker. And if so, that helps me to know how I need to adjust my prices accordingly. So for example, if there's a polish that someone can buy brand new from the maker still for $14, I'm not going to price mine at $14. I might price mine at like $12, depending on how much I've used it and so on. I also make a note of on my spreadsheet which of the polishes came from limited drops, like Polish Pickup, Hella Headmade Cosmetics, and so on. That just helps me to get a sense as I'm scrolling through my spreadsheet to see, like, I don't know, why do I put that there? Oh yeah, I put that on there because that is a detail that I like to include when I am making my polish listing. So I'll put like in parentheses, like this polish came from PPU October 2025 or something like that. I also make a note of certain details about the polish, like I think in particular if it's a magnetic polish and or a thermal, because that's also something that I like to indicate in the listings there. And if you are trying to get a sense of what kinds of prices you might want to use for your particular listings, I do recommend spending some time going through some of the various destashing groups that are out there on Reddit and Facebook, just to see what other people are pricing similar polishes at. I'll put a link to these groups in the description of the video, but some of the ones that I have used before are the Reddit Lacarista Swap subreddit. There's also No Trash Destash on Facebook. These other two are on Facebook as well. Nice and Nerdy Destash, and it's called the Nearly No Rules like nail polish destash Facebook group, but y'all, there are rules. I get it. There's a reason why I personally do not have the time or energy to moderate any Facebook group, let alone one that large. So much respect to the moderators who are choosing to spend their time doing that to keep things running smoothly. But I will say, if you are going to that group, read the rules. It says nearly no rules, but y'all, there's a lot of rules. I'll just leave it at that for now. The next step is to decide which service you would like to use for receiving payments. And I'm saying this now because this is something that you want to have decided for yourself and set up fully before you get to the point of trying to accept money from people. Like, that's not, like, you don't want it to be the case that you do this in a different order and you go and list some nail polishes and then you say, oh yeah, I guess I can take PayPal, but like you haven't even set up a PayPal account. You know, like, that's an extreme example, but this is just why I'm putting this here first. The service and approach that I personally use and recommend is PayPal Goods and Services. This gives seller protection. I can put a link to that in the description because for you to read more, because it's way more for me to cover in this video. But it's something where if there's any issues, any number of issues that can come up, it offers protection there that helps to give reassurance to both the seller and the buyer, knowing that is in place. To give you a sense of how much these fees are, I thought it would be helpful just to give you a ballpark of that, so that because I don't want to scare you all away with the idea of like, oh, there's fees in this. PayPal is taking a cut of this. No, thank you. So I went back into my PayPal account and looked over some of my most recent destashing transactions, and one order that was $18 total. The PayPal fee out of that was 54 cents. And then another one where the total order was $31.50. The PayPal fee for that one was 94 cents. So hopefully that helps to give some reassurance to you all who have been thinking about this option of goods and services and seeing that it's worth it to have that extra protection there. The way it works is that, so there's a number of different parts of this. Let's say I have, I'm just going to give a scenario where an example buyer is, let's call her Jane. So I list some polishes for sale. Jane has said she wants a certain number of polishes. Jane and I chat back and forth, and I tell Jane, okay, here's your total. I asked Jane, what's your email address that you use for PayPal? Jane responds with her email address, and so then I go into my PayPal account, and the way that I do it, there's like a couple of different pathways here. You can either go the route that is invoicing, or you can go the route which is send and request. Now, if you go the route of doing an invoice, I believe that does also include the PayPal goods and services protection. This is one where it allows you to be a lot more detailed and breaking things out in a line item by item to send over to someone as you are requesting payment for them. I've tried that before myself, and there's nothing wrong with that, but personally I tend to go the other route of the send and request feature. So what I would do, I go to the send and request option in PayPal, I put in Jane's email address, and then in there I specify how much I'm requesting from Jane. So let's say $18. And then what I personally like to do as well, which helps me to keep track of all the orders and transactions in my PayPal account, is that I will put in it's like the description of the transaction. You can put a brief note in there. I'll like list out the names of the polishes that Jane has purchased. So that way, as I'm scanning through the list, I can easily see like, oh yeah, this is that one, and so on. So then PayPal will ask me to double check that this is what the correct amount is. And then I'll say, yep. And I will click the button to request that money from Jane. Jane will then receive an email letting her know about my money request. But I like to be a little bit extra thorough, as you will see throughout this entire process. And I will then send Jane a follow-up chat message to let her know that I have just sent the request over. So Jane will then go into her PayPal account, see that I've requested $18 from her, and she then has the option to pay me with either the friends and family approach or the goods and services one. Friends and family does not have that seller protection that I mentioned earlier. So this is why it's very important. And I'll mention this again when we get down to one of the parts of this where I go into the type of information that you want to include in your polish listing. But this is where you want to make sure that Jane knows that she needs to use the goods and services option. So Jane will do that. Send the payment through, you'll get your money. And like I said, because of that goods and services fee, you'll get the email that says Jane has paid you X amount of money. And you can also see that PayPal has taken out whatever the fee is for goods and services. And so, yeah, like I said, I'm going to include a link in the video description to the link for PayPal seller protection. This is something that I say, like, it is, it's up to you to decide what you want to do. I think also because for me, I like to streamline all of my payments in a single service. I've had people reach out to me before to say, hey, I really want this polish, but I can't use PayPal anymore because my account got canceled and it wasn't my fault, but can we use Venmo? And I'm just like, I'm sorry, but I only use PayPal. So by the way, as I was planning this out, like I said, this is going to be a longer video because of how thorough I want to be here. I'm already thinking of creating a nail polish destashing 201 series where I go into more things like how to, things to look out for so that you don't get scammed by people while you're buying and selling nail polish online. So yeah, that's something that if it will come in another video. And if there's other topics that you all want to see in that 201 video that I don't cover here, please let me know in the comments and I will absolutely look into that for y'all. Okay, so next step is to gather or purchase your shipping supplies. I recommend doing this next because you really don't want it to be the case that you've gone to the part of listing your polishes online, you're doing some PayPal transactions, and that is when you realize, oh wait, what am I going to pack this stuff up with? It is just, you want to have that stuff all ready to go. And so what I'm going to do, I believe later on in this video at a further step, is to show you more of a close-up as to how I personally go about wrapping up and packing nail polish bottles to keep them safe in transit. But just to show you a brief preview of some of the supplies that I use. Let's see, the ones that I use that I don't have in front of me right now would be some packing tape, like clear packing tape that you use for like boxes, and also some just like a roll of Scotch tape for taping up smaller things. I also like to use these little bubble pouches here. It has a little strip that you can remove here. It has some adhesive there. But even with that, once I have, actually I skipped a step. Whoops. So before we get to that, there's this. Why am I like wielding this? That I did not mean to come across as so violent here. Whoops. So this is a super ginormous roll of honeycomb packing paper that if you take a closer look, you can see the honeycomb stuff here. What I like to do is start by cutting a strip of this off and rolling up the polish in this as the first level of protection. Then what I do is once that's rolled up, I put it inside this little bubble pouch. And then if it's like a single polish bottle, I've found that like a little bubble mailer like this, I'll like wrap it up in even more bubble wrap and put it in here. Or if it's 2 or more, I have these 7 by 5 by 5 inches cardboard boxes that fold very easily and fit like that. So I'll typically put in any of you who may have received polishes from me in a destash know that like I don't play when it comes to putting bubble wrap in here. Like I will give you all the bubble wrap. Like I put a little bubble wrap bed down there, and then I put the bubble pouches that I've wrapped the polishes in, and then I put more bubble wrap on top of that too. And yeah, it's better safe than sorry, right? So yeah, I will also include links to all of the I've got links to the packing paper that I use, the bubble pouches, and the cardboard boxes. I'll have those in the video description so that you all can click over there and see those. So yeah, these are the supplies that I use, and I think that, yeah, these have been very helpful for me as I've been doing destash orders. I always love it when people reach out to me after the fact and they're just like, hey, just want to thank you for how thorough and safe you packed everything, and that just makes me feel really good that the extra effort that I put into it was recognized. Next, you'll want to take photos of your polishes. And this is, okay, so the first thing here is that typically you want to decide in these photos that you will have with your destash listing, decide if you want to have your polishes arranged by color or arranged by brand. I've done it both ways. I kind of as a test for myself to see which option gets me the better response. And I think that typically when I've listed polishes by color, that tends to work best for me. I don't know if it's because I might be a little bit biased in that I personally prefer destash listings that list by color, because if I'm looking to buy polishes, typically I'm thinking more of, oh, let's see if there's like, I'm calling myself out, but like, let's see if there's a vampy red polish in this listing that might seem interesting, versus like, oh, let me see if there's a bee's knees one here. Again, it's up to you. Try it out one way one time, try it out a different way the other time, see what works for you, but that is something that you want to consider when you are deciding how you want to arrange them. Next, you're going to want to make sure to photograph your polishes from at least 2 different angles. It tends to be the standard. One is from with the polishes straight on, so that the bottles are standing up. This ensures that any fill lines are visible. And then also for most bottles that have the polished name on the bottom, or the top, wherever, you want to have them laying down so that the names of the polishes are visible there. I just want to go back and stress with that first one, and I will include some like picture examples here so that you all can see examples of what I've done before in the past. In preparation for photographing your bottles, I recommend having them like I had in my bin down there, have them standing up for a while before you photograph them so that it gives enough time for all the polish to come down from the sides. And if there are any visible fill lines, that's something that will be much more clear in the photos that you take. I also, if it's kind of like, if it's the case where you've taken the photos and then you see the fill line in person, but it's not really coming through as clear in the photo, that would be where I would recommend using like, a quick editing tool on your phone or whatever to just add a little horizontal line. And then later on, when we get to the part about where you're making your post and including your details, that's where you can go in to mention that, like, make a note that some of these polishes will have fill lines and to refer to that. And then, yes, another detail I put in here. Make sure to use good lighting so that the colors of your polishes can be shown as accurately as possible. Please do this. It's fall, winter, there's less daylight, I get it. But I will say that even though right now when I'm filming this, which is like 9 o'clock at night, and I have a little bit more energy and stuff, now personally would not be a good time that I would choose for photographing my polishes, because I know that even with my best indoor lighting, it's probably not going to give me the same great result that I would get with even just a little bit of natural daylight coming in. So keep that in mind. Once again, ask yourself, what kind of photos would you want to see if you were buying polishes? And then make sure you're doing that as a seller. The number of times I've seen photos in a destash listing that looks like these nail polish bottles were in witness protection. That's what they were looking like. So don't do that, okay? The next step is for you to decide how you would like to keep track of your order statuses. That's, you gotta have some way to stay organized with this. And that is something that you want to figure out before you start selling polishes, because once it starts, it can be a whirlwind and it can be a lot to keep up with if you haven't already come up with some kind of system. Personally, I use both a spreadsheet and a physical written notebook. Even though I am someone who, I work in tech, I love technology, I'm still very old school when it comes to how I often love using pen and paper for a number of things. Like, I'm not even kidding, back when I was in grad school, I hand wrote my entire thesis, my entire master's thesis, and then I went and typed it up because that's just how my brain works. Like, some things it works better for me to type, other things in my case, handwriting. So I personally use a spreadsheet to keep track of the inventory and all the things I mentioned earlier, like the brand name, the prices, details like the origin, magnetic thermal, and so on. And then once I've actually made a post, I use a little notebook to keep track of who has placed orders with me and where they are in the ordering process. Have they sent me their email address? have I sent them the payment request and I'm waiting to get payment from them? Things like that. And that helps me to more easily see who I might need to follow up with and where things are moving along. So some of the details that you'll probably want to include on whatever kind of tracking system that you personally keep would be things like, are you waiting to receive their PayPal email address? Maybe you've sent the payment request, but you're waiting to receive payment from them. Maybe you've received payment from them and you're just waiting for yourself to sit down and pack everything up and then shipped. Next step is to create the draft of your post. Now, I know it's been a lot of prep work up to this point, and some of you might at this point probably be surprised that the step here of creating the draft wasn't higher up in the order of things, but I really do believe that if you are doing all these other things first, by the time you get to creating the draft, you will be in a much better place for setting yourself up for an easy and successful destash. Now, like I said earlier, when I was listing out some of the examples of Facebook and Reddit groups where you're able to do destashes, probably the most important thing for this step is that you're going to want to make sure to triple check that you are formatting your post in accordance with the rules and requirements of that particular group. So perhaps you need to, like on Reddit, you might need to format your subject line in a certain way, or in Facebook groups, you might need to ensure that you've included a valid payment method or things like that. Just triple check. This could also include details such as the countries or regions that you're able to ship to. Don't assume that everyone is in the United States. So make sure that if you know that you are only willing to ship to the US, that is something that you include in your post. You also want to include how much you are charging for shipping. I personally set my shipping rates at $6 for the first polish in someone's order, plus 50 cents for each additional polish. This seems to be around on par for what most people in the destashing groups are charging. I think I saw the other day there was somebody in another group who was talking about somebody who was trying to charge like $10 for shipping, and it just really stood out as an anomaly. Like, we know USPS has gone up, but has it gone up that much? And it was like $10 for a single bottle, if I'm not mistaken. So just like with the other pieces of advice, check what other people are doing, and it gives you a sense of how to structure your pricing. You also want to include any volume discounts that you are offering. This was something that I didn't actually do at first when I got started with doing destashes. And it wasn't until there was one time where someone reached out to me about buying a couple of my polishes. And they said, hey, do you have any volume discounts? And I was like, no, I don't, but I should. And I think I gave them, I'm pretty sure I gave them a good deal on that. And so from that moment forward, I've started including some volume discounts that can help to entice people to buy a little bit more. So I'll include this example in the description of the video for you all to have as a reference. But the way that I do it is that I apply these discounts to someone's entire order that includes the shipping costs. So if they purchase 2 to 4 polishes, they get 10% off. 5 to 9 polishes is 20% off, and 10 or more polishes is 30% off. And so yeah, I'll get someone's order, I will add up the cost for the polishes, I'll add up the cost for shipping, and once I have all of that, I figure out like what's 10% of that minus and so on. And I also, in order to be like over communicating, I think, when I message someone who has indicated that they would like to order or to buy one of my polishes, or one or more, however many, I will send them an email that says, okay, cool, thank you. What will I say? I will say like, after the 10% discount, the total cost for XYZ polishes plus shipping is, and that. And usually it's pretty clear that it's what their final price is a discounted price, because majority of the time, after I take that discount and deduct it, it's like some random number, like, I don't know, $13.05 or something like that. But yeah, I just like to include that in my message to the buyer so that they get that confirmation that I am holding myself to what I have stated and that I haven't forgotten to take the discount out. And yeah, so these are some of the main things that you'll want to consider when you are creating the draft of your post. Next, as part of creating the draft of your post, another detail that I just wanted to call out as its own separate item is to decide whether or not you are planning to cross-post your listing. If you're unfamiliar with that concept, it means that you are making a post in not just a single place, but in multiple groups. This could be multiple Reddit groups. This could be multiple Facebook groups. This could be a Reddit group and a Facebook group and so on, where you've got all your polishes that you're listing for sale and you're putting them available in all those places at once. And you'll typically see a note in these posts that someone will say cross-posted. And so for someone who is a prospective buyer, I'll talk a little bit about the benefits and the trade-offs here. For a prospective buyer, the benefit of that could be that, say they happen to be in one of the Facebook groups that you posted in, but not in the others, they're getting this benefit of seeing some polishes listed for sale that they might not have seen if you had only posted in one of the other places and not theirs. But one of the drawbacks for potential buyers is that if you cross-post, then a buyer will see who has commented so far on whichever places they are able to see your post listing. So if they are only in one group where you have made a post and they don't see that anybody else has commented yet, they're like, ooh, this polish is still available. Maybe, so let me say that I want to buy it. But then it could turn out that someone already claimed it before them in a different group, and that can be a little disappointing for prospective buyers. From the selling side, I think, one of the benefits is that of cross-posting is that it gets more eyes on your listings. And that can help to move inventory a little bit more quickly than it would if you only posted it in a single place. However, the drawback here is that you are having to then monitor and manage not just communications with potential buyers, but also you're having to manage the comments and updating the post to reflect the statuses across all of the places where you have cross-posted. And it can quickly become overwhelming and messy. So I would personally recommend, if this is your first destash, just do it in one place. Just do it in one place first. Just get your feet wet, walk before you run. And even for myself now, having gone through many destashes, I tend to just do one place at a time. What I might do is that I will start by making a post in the Reddit Lacarista swap group, and I'll let that sit there for like a week or so. And then with whatever is left, I will go ahead and post it in like the Nearly No Rules Facebook group and see what I can get picked up from there and so on. Okay, so with all of that having been said, we are now at the part where you are ready to make your post. Woo! So the first thing I wanted to include for this is that, maybe this goes without saying, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Make sure to submit your post at a time when you know that you are actually able to respond to people and stay on top of communications. You don't want to do it where you make a post and then y'all, I was trying to think of like, what's an example of something that would cause somebody to be away from their computer or their phone for a while? I was like, if you're going in to get an MRI, I don't know, let me list some nail polish, and then like, oh yeah, let me go in and get this scan done. I'm going to be off the grid for a bit, and then people are wondering why they're not hearing back from you. Extreme example, but like, you know, just I would say I tend to do it where I only make a post when I know I'm going to be available for at least the next couple of hours, so that as people will respond, I can stay on top of getting back to them and getting those transactions done as soon as possible. I also think that as your order requests start to come in through comments, which, yay, you're getting some orders. It's a best practice to update your post to reflect the status of the polishes. So what people often do is that they will use like different emojis, and they'll include a key in there to say like, this green emoji means next to a listing means that it's still available. Yellow means that it's pending, meaning that like somebody has claimed it, but the whole transaction hasn't yet completed. And then maybe a red emoji means that it has been sold. I personally like to do that, but then also take it a step further. And I can't remember if Facebook lets you do this, but for sure I can do this on Reddit, where you can use the markdown formatting or the like rich text editor formatting to do like a like strike through for those, so that you can see. And I'll actually include a link to one of my previous Destash posts, so y'all can see like all the things what I mentioned about how I format it. And another thing is that if you are posting on Reddit, this is going to be that, you know, you're going to have some photos with your listing. Now, many people who are new to posting on Reddit don't realize that if you make a Reddit post that is based on photos, and then you put like text in the body of that post, after that post has gone live, you can't go back and edit it again. So what you can do is make your post that has your photos, and then in the body just put something that says full details and prices will be included in a comment. And so then in a comment, that's where you will put all of the details of the polishes and the prices and so on, because a comment is something that you can go back and edit as much as you need to. And with that being said, for timing purposes, this is, I know I'm getting very granular here, but y'all, this is, when I said I want to be thorough, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So like, let's say you know all of that, you know that you're making a Reddit post, and you know that you can't go back and edit a comment or edit the body later. So then you're like, okay, let me make my post, and now let me go and type my comment. You want to have that text of the comment ready to go at the same time that you are making that post. So I have a Google Doc where I keep track of where I do the draft of the post, which was like one of the steps earlier of writing that draft. And so yeah, right after I make that post, I then go into my own post and I put the comment there. And sometimes the formatting can get a little wonky, like when you're copying and pasting from like one place to another. So you might need to just go through and double check the editing, formatting a few times or something. But yeah, then it's alive. And so at that point, you sit back and wait for requests to come in. Next, let's say someone has said that they want to buy a polish. Woo, yay. Now is where you send them the payment request. And this is, I say send the payment request, but there's a number of steps involved with this. Like, let's go ahead and break it down. Let's use the same example of Jane from earlier as someone who is saying they want to buy a couple of polishes from me. So let's say I posted on Reddit. Jane responds and says she wants to buy polish A and polish B. I send Jane a message. And this is where I like to, make a good first impression on people. I think first impressions matter. I know when I'm a buyer, it's nice when someone even just says hi and puts like a little happy face emoji in there. Like it just makes me feel like I'm communicating with somebody who's a real person and somebody who's very pleasant. So that's how I like to present myself. So I'll say something like, hi, thank you so much for claiming polishes A and B. And then I go back to what I mentioned earlier about the way that I will summarize up the total cost for Jane. So then I'll say, after the 10% discount, the total cost for these 2 polishes plus shipping is XYZ. And then I'll ask, what's your PayPal email address? So ball is then in Jane's court. Something that I want to mention here as well, just as another fine detail, there have been times where someone has decided to buy a polish from me, and they've already done that before, which is pretty cool because it's like, oh, hey, welcome back. And that's also part of why it's a great idea to really be so intentional with all your steps throughout this process, because people will notice when you're doing things that are good, that treat them well. And because then when they see that you are selling polishes again, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's the person who had the really amazing packaging, and like that's the person who got that package shipped out the very next day. I definitely want to buy from them. Let me see what they've got for sale. But with that being said, when that's the case, you don't want to assume that that person's PayPal email address is still the same now as it was the last time they ordered from you. So what I do is I do the same kind of like, oh, hey, thanks for buying from me again, is fill in the blank, still your PayPal email address. Because I can still scroll up and see the history there. So I like to do that and just double check and good to go. So going back to Jane, the ball's in Jane's court. Jane will need to send me her PayPal email address. And, for the most part, in my experience, people tend to usually be pretty responsive. But there have been times where even at that stage of the process, I've had to poke people and remind them a little bit, like, oh, hey, just checking in. If you're still interested in this, please let me know. The staggered time that I use is I was jotting down my notes. I thought about what I would want to put for this, and like if I haven't heard from them in 24 hours, I send a reminder message. And if it still hasn't been 24 hours after that, I thank that person for their interest and let them know that one of two things is happening. Either I'm gonna update the post and make it reflect that it's available again, or if someone else has commented in the thread to say they're next in line, then I'm moving on to the next person. So I like to give, I guess that's altogether a total of 48 hours, and hopefully people will have gotten back to you by then, but just know there may be times when you need to do that. I've already gone over the details here about how to do that payment transaction on, say, PayPal goods and services. So yeah, once you have done that, then the payment part is taken care of, and now you're gonna move on to go ahead and pack up the polish. All right, so now you're at the point where you need to safely pack up the polish. And for this, I'm going to pause and insert a clip that shows this in greater detail. So this part is to show how I go about packing up a single polish. And I think that this is something that goes really well when I'm just like putting some TV on and just having something nice in the background to make the time go by. So let's say I've got a polish here, and I'll start by cutting a strip of that packing paper that I mentioned. That would be about enough to kind of wrap it up nice and secure like that. What I will do is roll this from one end to the other. I'll speed this up a bit. And then once I've got it like this, I'll go ahead and fold up the ends. And I like to secure the ends with a little bit of tape. So I've got it like that. And then I will do the same thing for this end. Like that. So now we've got the polish in this nice little wrapping, and that's when I pull out one of the bubble pouches and I place the wrap paper polish inside here. Now, sometimes I think that larger bottles may struggle to get into this size a bit, like the square bottles, for example. Like if I had one like this, and again, assuming it was wrapped up with a little bit more oomph around it, it would still go in here okay. But for the square ones, I personally have had better success with like put it in with the square part going in here first, as opposed to the other way around, because if the square part is sticking out, it's not as secure from what I've seen. But we're gonna put this one in here, and then once you're at that stage, you take the little strip. Sometimes I accidentally pull the sticky part off with the white part, but that's okay. It looks like the sticky is still on there. So then I stick that closed, but then I will also go in and put some tape over that to secure that as well. And that is basically how I choose to wrap up every individual polish that I send out in a destash. Now that you've packed up the polishes and you got everything nice and safe and secure in a box, the next thing you want to do is create a shipping label. And this is, I think, part of the process that, from what I've seen in online conversations where people have expressed questions and interests about the destash process, the shipping part tends to be where they have the most hesitation, because there's some misconceptions about how this needs to be done. Often people assume that the only way to do this is that you have to go to the post office and stand in a really long line there and wait and then figure out what shipping is and so on. I personally use Pirate Ship. And because I just mentioned pirates, and because y'all know how I am, I'm gonna make a sound effect. Yar. Okay, that was yar. On a side note, my husband and I, not that long ago, we took a quick weekend trip to LA, and we went to Disneyland, and he was like, let's go on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. I'm like, sure. Does this mean that there's gonna be Pirate Jack? And his name is Jack. He's like, yep. So for those of you who've been to Disney, just imagine going on that entire Pirates of the Caribbean ride while your husband is sitting next to you making pirate voices the entire time. It's charming. I love it. But just know that's part of my experience every time I go on those rides. Anyway, okay, so there's a website called pirateship.com, and it's a fantastic website that really simplifies and streamlines the process of doing shipping. So what you do, you sign up for an online account, you put in all your details and everything, and from there, when it's time for you to go and actually create a shipping label, you just have to go in, you put in the mailing address. So this is something that you would get from PayPal. On that transaction, you're then able to see the buyer's mailing address. You put that into Pirate Ship, and then that is where you are able to specify the dimensions and the weights of the package that you are sending. That is one of the reasons why I love using my my boxes and having the consistent shape of that, because I would say one of the best features of Pirate Ship is the ability for you to easily save and pull up again your most frequently used types of packages. So mine is a 7 by 5 by 5 inch box, so I can have that saved in there. And then because the size of the packages that I send, I think have varied anywhere from like 10 to 20. I can't remember if it's ounces or grams. I think it's ounces. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done a destash, but I'm able to go in, and when I'm sending a package to, say, Jane, instead of me having to sit down then and configure all of that fresh just for Jane's order, I just like put Jane's package rather, on my food scale, just like a regular old food scale that I use in my kitchen, but that works really well for this too. I see that Jane's package weighs 13 ounces. So then I just go to the drop down on the pirate ship form and see like, oh yeah, here's where I saved the one that I labeled as 13 ounces. Boom. And then I'm able to move on to the next step. And another common misconception about the shipping process is the idea that you need to have some kind of special printer to be able to print out a mailing label. I think because some people assume when they hear the word label, they think that they need to get like special printer paper and or a special printer that has like, a sticky label. You really don't. What you're able to do through Pirate Ship is that once you've gone through that process and you go through the steps, Pirate Ship tells you like, okay, it's going to cost this amount to ship it, and you choose your shipping option. So like USPS ground, you then purchase the label, and on the page that comes up, you can see it as a PDF and then print it. And like I do a 4 by 6 inch size. And so I just use regular old white printer paper. It comes out of my regular laser printer in black and white. And then I just cut it out from the paper and then like tape it onto one of the sides of the box. I just put clear packing tape over the entire label so that none of it will get damaged in transit. But very important about this step is that you want to make sure that you don't that your packing tape doesn't get creased over the barcode on the label, because then that could make it hard to read. But yeah, that one of the benefits here is just the simplicity of this and not having to stand in line at the post office. Because then what I'm able to do is from there, once I've got everything packed up, I can then just take my packages with me to the post office. And instead of needing to stand in line and wait there and have to see what the rates are, and actually I think the rates are typically higher at the post office than at Pirate Ship, I just walk into the post office and use a little like chute thing and put my boxes in there and off they go. So they're definitely highly recommend Pirate Ship. Their website has a lot more details and help guides about how to go through their process, but just want to put them out there as the service that I use for this. Next, okay, now that you have packed everything up, you have a tracking number. Pirate Ship makes it very easy for you to copy and paste that tracking number wherever you need it to go. And it's so important to get that number shared with the buyer. And the way that I do it is that I will copy and paste that tracking number into my chat with the buyer. And I will also let them know when I'm planning to drop off that package at the post office. So I'll say something like, hi again, your tracking number is blah, blah, blah. I'm going to drop off the package at the post office later today, or I'm going to drop off the package at the post office tomorrow morning. Thanks again. And this is very helpful and I think reassuring for buyers, because as soon as you have purchased that shipping label, it's going to show up as active in the USPS tracking. I forget what the very initial status is. It's something to the effect of shipping label created, USPS awaiting item. And it makes sense, the post office is waiting to get it. But for that reason, I think it's very important for you as a seller to let that buyer know, because it's like the difference between, are you gonna do it tomorrow, or are you really not gonna do it until like 5 days from now? It really can help to give the buyer some sense of reassurance and let them know that they don't need to constantly keep rechecking over and over. And from the seller side, Pirate Ship is really convenient for being able to log in and see all of the labels that you have created and to see what their statuses are. Oh yeah, also something else. See, I told y'all, more stuff keeps coming to my mind. Is oh yeah, do that too. So in addition to everything that I just said, another really good best practice is to go back into PayPal, pull up the transaction that you have with the buyer. So like Jane. So go back into Jane's transaction in PayPal. In addition to me sending it to her in chat, I'm also going to copy and paste that tracking number into the tracking field for her transaction in PayPal. You can put it in there, you say it's USPS, you say it's shipped, and what this will do when you save that information in PayPal, it will then send an email to Jane to let her know that it's been shipped. So the benefit here, there's a number of benefits, but I think the main thing is that you never know if someone's going to check their email first, their Facebook, or their Reddit, wherever you're communicating with them. And it might be the case that right after you send them the Reddit message and they check that, they're also on top of their email and they see it there too. But these are really all the things that go into not just doing the process of destashing well, but to do it in a way where buyers see that you've got your stuff together and that you are you're treating them with respect and kindness. And trust me, it really goes a long way. And okay, so the final part, like I said, this is, I know, a long video, but I wanted to include everything. Keep your post and your polished spreadsheet updated. I talked a little bit earlier about some ideas for keeping the spreadsheet updated, this using emojis and everything, crossing out and stuff. And then also making sure to keep your spreadsheet updated so that you can see what you still have in your inventory. I think this process, however it works best for you, it also helps to ensure that you don't accidentally double sell a polish that has already been sold. Just whatever works for you, stay on top of it. Okay, so that was a lot. Like I said, this is a video that I've been planning and sketching out for a while now. I knew that when I did this, I wanted to do it in a way where I just covered everything, to do so in a way where if there's someone who has never done a destash before and needs to know every single step of the process, I wanted to make a video that could help them to know how to do this and have a guide for every step along the way. I also mentioned earlier that I am thinking of doing a nail polish destash. That is so hard to say. Okay, let's try this again. Nail polish destash, boom, 201 video where I want to include tips for things like how not to get scammed by potential buyers, but then also I think this could relate to the other side, like how not to get scammed by potential sellers. If there's any other topics that y'all want to see covered in that, please let me know. I would love to get your input for that so that it can be as helpful for y'all as possible. And yeah, so once again, I really hope that this video has been helpful for you all. Nail polish destashing is something that it can be a lot to take on. And just know that if now is not the right time for you to do so, that is okay. Just keep putting your polish to the side and know that when you are ready to take it on, it will be there waiting for you so that you can follow this guide and go from one step to the other and everything will be okay. If you do have additional questions or need some tips beyond what I've covered here, please feel free to leave a comment. I'm more than happy to help give some insights there as well. And yeah, as always, thank you all so much for being here, for being part of this channel. Part of where this video came from was me saying in a previous video, hey, I think I'm gonna do this. Would y'all wanna see that? And some of y'all said, yeah, I would love to see that. So please keep those ideas coming. Yeah, be on the lookout for nail polish destashing 201 at some point, in addition to tons of other videos. And I look forward to seeing you all in another video coming up soon. Bye.